There are cars that arrive loudly, and then there are cars that arrive quietly and stay for a very long time. The Porsche 911 did not begin as a legend. It began as a responsibility. In the early 1960s, Porsche was still a small company. The 356 had given them an identity, but the future was uncertain. They needed a successor, something modern, faster, more capable, yet still true to what the company believed a sports car should be. Ferry Porsche, son of Ferdinand Porsche, carried that belief forward. He often said that the company would always build sports cars, not fashionable cars, not luxury statements, sports cars. But what the next car should look like was not yet clear. The design was led by a young Ferdinand Alexander Porsche, known as Spurzem, working alongside Erwin Commander, who had shaped the 356 before it. Spurzem later reflected that he wanted to create a design that would last, not something tied to 1 year or one trend, but something that could grow over time. So they worked carefully. They didn't try to erase the past. They tried to extend it. The new car kept the engine in the rear, a layout that was not simple and not universally loved, but it was part of Porsche's identity. An identity once established is not easily abandoned. When the car debuted in 1963 at Frankfurt Motor Show, it was not met with instant worship. It was admired, it was studied, but it was also questioned. It was more expensive than many expected, and early road tests noted that it demanded skill from its driver. The rear engine layout gave it a character that required attention and respect. Journalists of the time described it as precise, responsive, and not particularly forgiving if pushed carelessly. It was not designed to make the driver feel comfortable. It was designed to feel honest. Early buyers and testers learned the car slowly. They spoke about its balance, its sound, its sensitivity. They found that it rewarded patience and precision. Over time, something changed. What first felt unusual began to feel consistent. What first felt difficult began to feel engaging. The car did not try to adapt to every expectation. Instead, it asked drivers to understand it. In books about Porsche's history, the 911 is often described not as a sudden breakthrough, but as a continuation, a careful evolution of an idea that had already begun with the 356. Ferry Porsche believed strongly in continuity. He did not want the company to abandon its principles every few years. He wanted the cars to improve gradually without losing their character. And that's exactly what happened. The 911 changed slowly. Engines became stronger. Technology improved. Safety increased. But the silhouette remained recognizable. Decades later, Ferdinand Alexander Porsche would note that the 911 was a car you could recognize across generations. The earliest and the newest still shared the same visual language, not because it refused to evolve, but because it evolved carefully. Writers and historians often point out that the 911's greatest strength was not speed alone, it was consistency. While many sports cars appeared and disappeared over the decades, the 911 continued, quietly improving, quietly adapting, quietly staying. That continuity gave it something rare in the automotive world, a sense of lineage. Owners began to see the 911 not just as a machine, but as a part of a long story, a story that stretched across generations of drivers and engineers. The car carried memory, not nostalgia alone, but continuity, a sense that some ideas once established are worth preserving. By the 1970s and 80s, the 911 was no longer questioned in the same way. It had proven itself through racing, through road use, through time. It became a reference point, a benchmark, and yet it never tried to become everything. It remained focused on what it was meant to be: a sports car, compact, responsive, alive in the hands of the driver. Today, when people see a 911, they see more than a design. They see decades of decisions made by a small group of people who believed that identity mattered, that continuity mattered, that evolution did not require forgetting. Ferry Porsche guiding the company forward, Bootsy drawing a shape meant to endure, engineers refining year after year. The 911 didn't become an icon overnight. It became one slowly, through persistence, through patience, through time. In a world that constantly replaces itself, there is something quietly powerful about a machine that continues without losing its voice. A shape that grows older without growing distant. A design that carries memory forward. The Porsche 911 did not try to become new each decade. It simply kept becoming itself. And sometimes that is what allows something to last.